I loved this. That has never appealed to me. Golden Retriever emo vibe. Ooh. Hello, my name is Kathy and I like to read. Welcome back. It's that time, it's the end of the month, it's officially the 1st of July when I'm filming this, and let's do a reading wrap up. We will also be doing a newly improved TBR jar. In total, I had a good reading month for June. I'm really happy with the majority of what I've read. I read 7 books in June. 2 of them were on audio. I had a few Kindle reads, a few physical books. So yeah, let's just get into it. I have something to say. I will hold my hands up and say, I've got no idea what I'm doing. Unfortunately, as I was checking this footage, it has corrupted again. I'm going to be refilming just the beginning of this video and hopefully you won't notice any differences towards the end. Most of the footage is okay, it's just the beginning, so I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't notice. So in June I read 7 books and they were a combination of dark fantasy romance, young adult fantasy romance. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. Fantasy romance is my go-to genre, as you can't tell. Apologies, it's a bit samey, but watch this space. Something else may be in the work. So the first book I read in June was This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi, and I rated this 3.75 stars. This was fun. This is a young adult fantasy with a little bit of romance. So this follows Eliza, who is the forgotten heir of the Jinn Kingdom, and she's living in this realm, and the crown prince discovers her and he knows that she's Jinn. She's posing as a servant girl, and this story just follows her, how she comes to terms with her lost realm and her kingdom and see where she goes from there. Because she's Jinn, she's got these powers and she's feared, and so the Jinn are in hiding, they're outlawed. They're technically like a banned race, but she knows there's people hidden. She knows there's people out there that are like her, that are Jinn, however she can't be herself, so she has to pose as a servant girl in order to just get by, when really she's a princess. She's like queen vibes. I like that it had different themes. This is based on like Persian mythology, so it had a lot of terms and culture that I'd never seen before. The MMC Cameron, he is down bad. He is obsessed with this girl, and I don't think that's a spoiler. I feel like it's very obvious from the start. He's obsessed with her in many different ways. I don't just mean in a love way. He's just, yeah, he is down bad. I feel like not quite a lot happened in this book so far. It was a lot of setup, a lot of world building. It's not a particularly big book. It didn't drag on for too long. I've just remembered the ending, and I forgot how good that ending was. So I really need to pick up the next ones. As you can see, I've already bought the next few. And these are my first books that I've read by Tahira Mafi. I've never read the Shatter Me series or anything like that. So I thought this was good. I will say, I listened to a lot of this on the audiobook, and the narrator, she was amazing. She had this like lovely, rich voice. And I don't know what it was, but she was really good with like pronouncing the words, and she gave an authentic twist and vibe to this narration. It's also dual POV. It was only the one narrator, but I feel like she did encapsulate both Eliza and Cameron's personalities in her narration. I will say, because the dialogue in this is quite old-fashioned, I feel like the audiobook made it like easier to digest. I feel like if I was reading it, I would have got a bit bored with the dialect and all of that. So far, this is giving good like Throne of Glass vibes, but with quite a different take on it so far, and I thought it was fun. I feel like these ones are going to get even better, so I can't wait to read the next one. So that is the first book that I read in June, and it was a strong start. I'm really happy with it. So the next book I read was a Kindle read, and this is Dark Fae by the Twisted Sisters, and I rated this 3.5 stars. This book is the first in the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac series. The book is set in Solaria, and it follows Elise, who at the very beginning of the book you find out her brother has died or has been murdered, as Elise thinks, and she's trying to find this murderer or this group of murderers. So she enrolls in Aurora Academy. Wow, sirens. So she enrolls in Aurora Academy because she suspects it's one of these 4 kings who's murdered her brother, basically. And it's kind of like a murder mystery with Fae element. It has all the similarities of Zodiac Academy, but it's a new set of characters. It's in a different part of Solaria. There's a lot of gangs and hierarchy, and it sounds a lot more brutal in this part of Solaria. And it just follows her as she's trying to uncover her brother's killer. So this book is reverse harem, and that has never appealed to me. It probably still doesn't appeal to me. It's only because I want to read Zodiac Academy in this order that I've even considered it. This is a very spicy book. It's probably about 60% spice and 40% plot, which is way, way, way too much spice for me. I'm really, really not that bothered by it. The fact that it's four kings, which is very reminiscent of the 4 heirs of Zodiac Academy, it feels a bit like not a knockoff, but it just feels like they're trying to do the same but different. It's like a different take on an urban fantasy because it's got like gangs in it, and the four kings in this they're not like the four heirs. They're not pals, they're not mates, they're actually in rival gangs. I will be continuing with this, but yeah, it just didn't hit. It felt like it was very similar in essence to Zodiac Academy, but slightly skewed a different way. And I much prefer the characters in Zodiac Academy. But I will continue because I do want to read it all in full. I will say the end of this did get me really intrigued, so I am going to continue it. It's not gripped me as much as Zodiac Academy did. So the next book I read was Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I loved this. I actually have a reading vlog on this, my first ever reading vlog. So if you're interested, please go and watch it. And I thought this was it was so much fun. Summerween. I'm here for Summerween. This book follows Ophelia, who has recently become a necromancer after her mum has died, and then her sister goes missing. She narrows it down that her sister Genevieve has entered Phantasma, which is this spooky, scary manor house, and in order to find her sister, she has to win and beat Phantasma. And in order to win, she has to beat 9 levels of hell. And along the way, she gets to meet an intriguing phantom called Blackwell. I thought this was so much fun. The narrator sounds like Meg from Hercules, and she made it so, it was great. I really love the concept. I love the spooky vibes. I love the gothic atmosphere. I've never read anything gothic before, and I'm really intrigued to keep going. It had a few too many spicy scenes for me, and it probably dropped down my rating for it. I thought Ophelia was such a cool combination of being such a strong, badass FMC, but you can see how she struggles with these OCD tendencies, and I think the author did a really good representation of this. I loved Blackwell. He gave proper emo vibes, but like golden retriever emo vibes. I thought he was so much fun. And also, it had a ghost cat. What more could I want? So yeah, I'm really glad I read this now and didn't wait until October. I'm so excited to read Enchantra. However, I do feel like it's mixed. Some people prefer Enchantra and some people prefer Phantasma, but I'm sure I'll absolutely love it. I have also just seen that Fairy Loot have released a special limited editions of Phantasma and Enchantra, and you best believe I will be there on my computer, tapping away trying to get those special editions. So yeah, I thought this was really good. Exactly what I needed. Like, it was like a great standalone in the middle of some series. I think I've gone a bit far with trying to start a series, but I'll go into that a bit later. So the next book I read was Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen, and I rated this 3.5 stars. It didn't quite live up to expectations, but it was still a good fun read. So this follows Evelyn and Arden, who are fated to kill each other. They are destined to follow each other through every lifetime, and then before the age of 18, they have to kill each other. Evelyn doesn't know why, and Arden does. So this flops. This switches between following Evelyn and Arden in their past lifetimes and in the current one, which is set in 2022 in Wales. So in the current timeline, Evelyn's sister is sick, and Evelyn needs to live past the age of 18 so she can help save her sister. So she is determined to figure out why this is happening and to stop it, basically. So I thought this was fun. I feel like the general consensus is that everybody wishes you got a little bit more from the past lives, and I do agree. I didn't quite think the reason for why this was happening matched the vibe of the story. But it was fun. Again, I did a reading vlog on this, so I've got more detailed thoughts there. It was fun. It was a nice standalone. I've got a beautiful sprayed edge to put on my shelf. So this is described as a young adult fantasy romance, and I will say it didn't feel very like fantasy-esque. It felt like a historical romantic retelling with like a fantastical element and like a twist. Because it goes back through time, I did struggle a bit with some of the terminology, and if it was on my Kindle, I'd be tempted to like tap it and see what the definition is, but I kind of started skipping it because it got a bit too much. I realised when reading Watermoon and Tomorrow, I can usually get past it without knowing what specific terminology means. I really appreciated the fact that when they did get reincarnated, they'd be in different bodies, different lifetimes. There was the start of a spicy scene, and I kind of could have just done without it completely. I felt like it wasn't needed at all, but that's just maybe my preference. So that is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. So the next book I read in June was Gleam by Raven Kennedy, and I rated this 4.25 stars. I'm really enjoying the Plated Prisoner series so far. I think it is good. I can see why it's got the hype. I did a very bad explanation in my May wrap-up of the synopsis of this, but I've also mentioned it in my reading vlog, so please go watch that if you're interested at all. This is a King Midas retelling, and it follows Oren, who is in this realm where there are 6 kingdoms, and each of the kingdoms has a ruler who has a power. King Midas is that he can gold plate and touch everything, so Oren is his golden favour, his golden saddle. And at the start of the first book, you see that Oren has been kept in a cage for most of her adult life as a safety measure. However, you can see that she's starting to get restless and resent living in this cage, and the series just goes from there. This is the third book in the 6-book series, and I thought this had great plot development to the overarching story. This didn't end on a cliffhanger, but I just don't know where they're going to take it next. I thought it was so interesting. I think it had really good humor and banter. I very clearly liked it because I tabbed it quite a bit. Like, Raven Kennedy just writes things so well. Oren has gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of grief, and Raven Kennedy has this way of writing things, and just simple scenes of friendship and love, and I just think it's a really good book. So this book was very slow burn. However, there was a spicy scene in it that just went on for way too long. It was about 3 chapters long, and it was just more than I thought was necessary. And if you watch my reading vlog, you'll see there was a term that was used, and it just took me out of it completely. I am really happy to be continuing this series, and I can't wait to pick up the next one. I'm so excited. And the last 2 books I read in June were The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen, and I listened to these on audiobooks. But you best believe I will be getting my trophy books, because I rated these 4.5 and 5 stars. This is my first 5-star in a while, and so this is a set of duologies set in the same realm, and I've just finished the first duology. This first book follows Lara, who's one of 12 sisters, and to keep the peace in the realm, and as part of this treaty, she is chosen to marry King Aaron of the Bridge Kingdom, which is a rival kingdom who controls all the trade routes because they have the bridge, and you can't get past it unless you've got the bridge. What Aaron doesn't know is that Lara has been trained all of her life to be an assassin, and she's tasked to infiltrate and find the secrets of the Bridge Kingdom in order to take them down. So the 2 books, The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen, follow both Lara and Aaron. This is dual POV, and it was so good. It's more of a political fantasy with a romance subplot. However, I do think that is my preferred balance, because the crumbs, the teeniest, tiniest, littlest, the crumbs we got in the Bridge Kingdom, they just kept me fed for the entire book. I thought Lara and Oren had such good banter. They were funny and witty, and you could see them slowly, they're married at the end of the day. They had to live together. They had to be around each other, and you can see how Lara is trying to do her mission, but you can see how Aaron is skeptical, and it was just... It was so good. The Bridge Kingdom ends on such a strong plot point, and The Traitor Queen just goes from there. And The Traitor Queen was... It was frustrating and heartbreaking, and I'm not a big fan of the trope when you know the couple is endgame and they're not doing it. When they're destined to be together, you can tell from the start. It's not a surprise, it's not a spoiler. You just want them to be together. So both these books weren't very spicy. I think there was 1 or 2 scenes, and they only did it to develop the plot, and that's my preferred amount of spice and romance. And I just thought it was just so good. So I loved learning more about the characters in the second book because you got a bit of a better understanding. I loved all the side characters, and this is a 5-star duology for me. I listened to this on a whim because I've got a free Audible trial because I listened to Phantasma, and I saw you didn't need to have an extra credit. I just listened to it, and I'm so glad I did. I think I only picked it because I think it was about 12 hours to listen to. I thought, I could probably get that done in a week. I think I got it done in 5 days, and then I think I got The Traitor Queen done in 4 days because I just ate it up. So I will be continuing this. However, I do like that it's split into duologies, so I don't have to rush to read or listen to the next one. I think there's currently 5 out, and the 6th one is coming out later on. But yeah, Danielle L. Jensen, you are firmly on my radar, which means that A Fate Inked in Blood and A Curse Carved in Bone, I will be more interested in looking into those. I know it's not set in the same world and it's a different mythology, but yeah, this was perfect. The only reason why I didn't rate the first book 5 stars at the start was because I thought book 2 was going to be a 5 stars. So this is a 5-star series. And to be fair, book 1 was probably 5 stars as well. Do I just change it? Yeah, they're both 5 stars. This is a 5-star duology. Absolutely loved it. I am Danielle L. Jensen's new biggest fan. So watch me raving about this series for ages. And the new covers are gorgeous. I had a look at some of the special limited edition copies, and do you know what? I think the new release covers are beautiful. I think they're nicer than other copies I've seen, so I will be getting those. Oh, I loved it. So those are the 7 books I read in June, and I crossed off 5 of my 6 books that were on my TBR. So let's just talk about the 1 book that I didn't read. As you can see, I've started it. I think I'm about 22% into Lady of Darkness. However, I will be soft DNF in this. Only soft, because I think I'm in a reading slump for the first time, like a proper reading slump for the first time ever. I'm not vibing with the fantasy romance. This has got everything that I've wanted so far. It's very Throne of Glass vibes, and I don't know if that's my issue. I don't know if the fact that it's coming off the back of a 5-star read with the Bridge Kingdom. Lady of Darkness, I will be returning. I just didn't read you in June. So I've had this book, I think I started this book on like 4 days ago, and I just had no inclination to pick it up. And I think I will love this series, which is why I'm going to soft DNF it and come back to it when I've had a little break. A little palette cleanser. And you know what palette cleanser I've got my eyes on? Cowboy romances. But we'll get to that in a minute. So, she's not read. She's going back on the TBR cart. However, I am keeping my bookmark in there. She'll be fine. I'll come back to her later. So those were the books that I read in June. Let's find some room for these on the shelves. So let's move on to me picking my TBR prompts. So last month I picked 3 prompts or 3 selections, and then I did 3. I already had 3 that I wanted to read in mind. So I think we'll start with 3 and see how we get on. And if I want to add more, if they don't quite match what I have in mind to read, then we'll just do 3 and 3 again. I did revamp this and did put some prompts in instead, because I was putting in the book names and I was sorting it by subscription books, Kindle books, all of that. However, I thought it would just be a bit less restricting if I added prompts instead. So I have updated this. You might be able to see this in a video coming soon. I think I'm going to put it in like a doing bookish stuff video. So I've updated the prompts in here. So let's pick the first prompt. She is full, and there's also no rhyme or reason to the colours. I just did whatever I fancied. So let's pick. Excuse the cat hair. So we have a book that you think will be 5 stars. Interesting. I'm going to have to think about this and I'll come back to you. See, this is a difficult one because I bet you all the fantasy books will be 5 stars, but I'm in a fantasy slump, so do I just pick a fantasy one and hope I get out of a slump by the end of the month? I could do Enchantra because I really enjoyed Phantasma, so that could be 5 stars. Sorry, I've got my Kindle here, which is what I'm looking at. I don't think any on my physical TBR fit that bill. The Night and the Moth could be, but I want to read One Dark Window first. I could do One Dark Window. Okay, yeah, we'll do One Dark Window, because I do think... Or do I do Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent? See, this is why I quite liked it just being the actual book title, because I didn't have to think of it like this. No, we'll do One Dark Windows. Ooh, this goes in line with my like whole Summerween part, so yay, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, so the first book on my TBR is One Dark Window by Carissa Broadbent. Now, so the first book on my July TBR is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Ooh, so we have free pick. Yeah, none of these on my physical TBR are appealing. So I think, because like I said, I thought I needed a palette cleanser, and I'm going back and forth between starting Elsie Silver and the Chestnut Spring series and is it called the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage? So I need something. I need some sort of palette cleanser. Whether it's 1, whether it's 2, I'm not sure. So my free pick, I'm going to start the Chestnut Spring series. I think it's starting with Flawless. So that's my second book for July. That is Flawless by Elsie Silver. Trying to find a green one. Yeah.
An author you've never read. Okay, so I can't continue any of my series. Can't do Stephanie Garber. Ooh. Do we start my Brando Sando journey now? Yeah, I think this would be a really good palette cleanser. I only just hauled this. Yeah, I'm going to put Tress of the Emerald Sea on my July TBR, so at least we've got a physical book now. Oh, I'm excited for that. That'll be cute. I hope so anyway. Weirdly enough, my sister, who has been in New Zealand for the last 6 months, came back, and just chatting to her, she loves reading as well, and I was just like, oh, so what are you reading at the moment? And she went, Brandon Sanderson. I was like, no way. I've been wanting to start my Brando Sando journey, and she is currently reading Mistborn, so I'm really excited to hear what she thinks of it so far. So, yes. Okay, so I know I only said 3, but I'm going to keep going. Maybe pick one more, because then I can, yeah, I'm going to pick one more. At the end of the day, it's my TBR, and I'll read and do what I want. That sounded really aggressive. That is not how I meant it. It's my TBR, and I'm a mood reader. And this is the first time I've not been in the mood to read fantasy, so let's get our next pick. I thought it was upside down. There we go. So we have cover the same colour as your top. So my top it's actually a Bring Me the Horizon top. So it's got black on it, it's got bits of red on it, got bits of white on it. So we've got a few on my physical TBR that I'll just show. So we have A Caught This Cruel and Ugly, we've got A Caught This Cruel and Lovely, which it's a black base with little bits of red and white on it. We also have From Blood and Ash. I'm not picking this up. I'm not ready to start this. This is too long. I also accidentally got paint on it. Even though this does match, this will not be a pick. And then we have On Wings of Blood. I'm a little bit gutted because I bought the indie copy of this, and now I've seen that they've not got the second one indie published anymore. Is this too red? Am I being too specific? Let me have a look on the Kindle to see if there's anything else, because currently it feels like the only prompt that actually fits is A Caught This Cruel and Lovely. And I know it's only a 4-book series, but I don't know if I'm ready to start another series, so let me just check on the Kindle. Yeah, there's not very many options on the Kindle either, so I guess we're going with A Caught This Cruel and Lovely. I think this is Fae. I think this is Caught. It says, just hours after humans are born, the gods take what little power we have. In return, they protect our borders from the vicious, merciless Fae. This synopsis sounds really familiar. I'm pretty sure this author has just come out with a new book as well, so maybe it is a good time to start this series. So apologies if things have moved slightly in the sense of work smarter, not harder. I went and got an SD card from my Nintendo Switch. So it says, the humans who manage to keep their power are known as the corrupt, and they are put to death. When my forbidden power is discovered, I'm forced to flee my tiny village and the life I adore. To survive, I make a desperate bargain with a mercenary, a dark and brooding man. Don't we love a dark and brooding man? Whose face I have been seeing in my dreams. It's agreed that I'll help him into the city, and he'll help me learn to wield the strange dark power I've always kept hidden, the power that may just be the key to my survival. But the ruthless mercenary is hiding secrets of his own, secrets that threaten the safety of everyone I love, secrets that could tear this kingdom and perhaps even this world apart. It does sound good, so I'm really hoping I get back into my fantasy romance era. Why not? Let's pick this. Let's just pick one more. So there's 4 colours, but I think I want to pick one more. And if it doesn't fit me continuing a series, then maybe I'll skip it, because I've got some audio. But let's just pick one more. Book with trees on the cover. What a weird prompt. Why did I write that? Let's have a look. So those have both got like leaves on them, not trees. I'm not reading For Blood and Ash. I'm not reading that one. Fate Forged in Fire? No, this is like Celtic. Nope. Again, Once Upon a Broken Heart. It's got like foliage on it. It's not really got trees on it. Oh, I've just realised that my Once Upon a Broken Heart is backwards. Let me fix that. You know what? I think the only one that actually is going to fully fit the prompt is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I just picked this up in Aldi. It was £3. I How good's that? But that is definitely an autumn read. That is not a now read. Belladonna, it's got like foliage and stuff. Not quite trees. Oh, I tell a lie. We do have one that actually fits. We've got Anathema by Kerry Lake. Ooh, I didn't think about that. And then Nocticadia's got like foliage on it. Right, so I guess the only option we've got is Anathema by Kerry Lake. I was not planning on reading a chunky book. But to be fair, it fits with Summerween again because it's like very like gothic vibes. So let's read the synopsis. There are whispers about what lurks in Witchnell, the forest where sinners go to die, literally trees. The villagers call it the Eating Woods because what's taken is never given back. Only those who've lost their senses would dare to go near it. Right, the second one has been announced. Yes, I forgot this is going to be a series or a duology or something. Only those who've lost their senses would dare to go near it, or the banished. Mavis Bronwick knows better than to breathe the misty labyrinth of trees, but a tragic turn of events compels her beyond the archway of bones to a boundary no mortal has crossed before, one that cloaks a dark, fantastical world that's as dangerous as it is alluring. It's there he dwells, the cursed lord of Edolan? The one tasked to keep her hidden from the mage hood that seeks to crucify her in the name of an arcane prophecy. Zavander Rydane, known to his prey as the Scorpion, is the coldest, most calculated assassin in all of Etheria, and he'd sooner toss his feisty ward to a pack of vicious fire drakes than keep her safe. If only he could. Mavis' blood is the key to breaking his despised curse and vanquishing the slumbering evil in Witchnell. Unfortunately for Lord Rydane, fate has other plans for this irresistible little enchantress, and his growing obsession with her threatens to destroy everything, including himself. Do you know what? Everything always sounds good when you read it. We're going to add Anathema by Kerry Lake to the TBR. That was such a wild one. That's 5 prompts, and I've been reading between like 4 to 7 books, depending if I've got an audiobook or not. So one of my hopefuls will be Glow by Raven Kennedy, because my library has just given me the audiobook, so I will be hoping to get to that. 3 books off my physical TBR if I continue with this. Potentially 4. That's not too bad, is it? So we're going to pop those up there for safekeeping. So these are the books that I will be reading in July, hopefully. And hopefully I'll get out of this reading slump so I can actually get to some of these fantasy ones instead. But if I just want to read cowboy romance all month, maybe I'll do that instead. Who knows? So that is my June reading wrap up and my July TBR. I really hope you enjoyed this video. The other one that I posted seemed to be the most popular, so this seems to be a really good YouTube video to film. I've been really enjoying YouTube at the moment, and I'm hoping to keep going with it. I'm hoping to continue with the reading vlogs. I've got ideas for like doing bookish stuff, and yeah, I think it's really fun. It's a hobby that I've wanted to do for years, but I've never quite found my niche, and I feel like this is my niche. And we are low power. Do you know what? Nearly did really well. Nearly. Mic was charged, camera was charged, my SD card was a little bit full. But I've been filming for quite a long time now, and we're only just getting to low battery, so I would call that a success. As long as none of this footage gets corrupted, so guess we'll find out. Guess you'll find out, and I'll find out. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. And my memory card is running out, so please bear with. Wow, this is why you don't film after work, because this lighting is shocking, so apologies for this overhead yellowness.